Well, hello to everyone. Welcome to WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth Part 16. We're back on Smackdown this week, and I'm going to be alternating between Raw and Smackdown a lot for the next few months, so we'll get used to that. This time I'm in a special referee match against The Undertaker with Ric Flair as the referee. Now, special referee matches in this game are a little strange, actually, because you can't choose anyone to be the special referee. You can only choose a handful of people. Although that handful of people will come out in referee attire. You can choose Ric Flair, Vince McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Stephanie McMahon, any creator wrestler, and I think there might be one or two others, but I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, it looks like Flair's talking, but JR and King are saying it instead. Anyway, I meet the Hurricane again. Let's see if he has anything to say to help me this time. Because, I am in I might as well be in a handicap match. You have to go and fight for world peace. Yep, you're real fucking help. Let's just get on with the match. Now, special referees do have their own entrances. So yes, we will be seeing the entrances again. We've seen me and we've seen The Undertaker, but we'll see Flair's this time, and we'll see him come out in referee attire. Which is kind of neat to see, actually. Ah, Stone Cold. Where would wrestling be without you? WWE probably wouldn't be anywhere without him. I mean, let's see. If Austin wasn't around in '97, after Brett left because, he got screwed, and after Michaels had to go into semi-retirement because of his back injury, I could have seen the WWE going out of business and losing to WCW. And then maybe today I would have been playing WCW. Shut your mouth. Not to say I would have. I didn't get into WCW like I did the WWF. I might have said that already, but I just couldn't get into it as much. It seemed different. Like they're both professional wrestling, but you could see the difference in them. And I'm not saying that there weren't a lot of fun guys and talented guys to watch in WCW. I mean, they did have Scott Hall, of all people, and they had the Steiner brothers, they had Diamond Dallas Page. While they weren't, at this point in their careers, they weren't the best wrestlers, but they had Hulk Hogan, and they had... who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Goldberg. They had Ric Flair, they had Sting. It had a lot going for it, but, management kind of fucked everything up for that. In a lot of ways. The booking screwed things up, and then because popularity was dwindling, Turner Broadcasting basically said, no more WCW. Anyway, we got the Nature Boy here, Ric Flair. If you've watched Wee Man's Winter of Wrestling, he's been around for like 200 years, and he'd probably still be wrestling if he still could, but, he is an old man. At this point, he was only a somewhat old man. But anyway, this being a special referee match, and Flair not liking me, you can tell that it's going to be against me. He counts faster for The Undertaker, and he counts slower for me. And, if The Undertaker hits me with a chair, he might not disqualify him, but I don't think that ever happens. See, there's some of those damn Undertaker strikes. It's just a pain to try and block to defend against. I just don't know if there's timing or if they're completely unblockable. Because there are a lot of unblockable moves, and especially in these early games. In the newer games, there's only like a couple, like a handful, but in the early games, there is a lot. And you know, that really hurt some of the that really hurt the games when they started to go online, like with SmackDown vs. Raw 2000. No, the first online game was the first SmackDown vs. Raw. It was very bare bones, but I guess it was the first online experience. Anyway, Ric Flair. I can't say I was ever the biggest fan of his, but oh, look here. You see he counts a little slower than your standard ref? If Taker ever gets me into a pin, he'll count faster, and I'll point that out. But anyway, as I was saying, Flair, I was never the biggest fan of his. Like, I guess because he was in his prime in the 80s, not in the 2000s. I'm surprised he wouldn't have disqualified me there. But, you know, since they're trying to screw me over, I'm getting a chair. Yeah! Now we're talking. Twice. Oh, and then I throw it at him. See, as long as you knock the referee down, you can't get disqualified. And you know, there is actually a trick to very easily winning matches in this game, and this carried on until... I think the last game you could really do this in was the first SmackDown vs. Raw game. But I know you could do it at least in this game and at least in Here Comes the Pain. It's easier in this game than in the later games. The AI smartens up quite a lot. Especially in Here Comes the Pain. I know it seems like I might shit on that game a lot, but I do genuinely think it is for the most part, overall better game than Shut Your Mouth and the first SmackDown vs. Raw. And especially in the AI department. The computer-controlled opponents are just great in that game. But anyway, this method is to, at the north end of the ring, near the ramp, we'll call it north because, you know, that's the way the ring is facing in this game, you get a table out, you can get a table out from under the ring. Slide it into the ring and set it up in the corner. Then continually run into it and just wait for your opponent to grab you while you're against the table. They will do a move, throw you through it, and get disqualified. And it's an easy win. And I'll be honest, after you play the season mode for like the first time or the first 2 times, eventually you just want to get those matches over with. Ooh, it was close there. And it's the same for Here Comes the Pain, it's the same for the first SmackDown vs. Raw. Maybe 2006 as well. I'm not sure if you can still do it in that game. Because I forget where all the weapon placements are in the SmackDown vs. Raw games, but that's more to do with the fact that they changed the way the camera is for the ring. They made it more like the actual WWE by putting the, you know, they have the hard camera side where they have all the cameras set up, and that's mostly you'll be viewing the ring from one direction instead of from all over the place. Anyway, that was a good win for me. I'm sure Flair is just seething. He probably burst a blood vessel, and now he's bleeding all over his face, because, you know, that was the thing with Ric Flair. When this guy cut himself open, he bled profusely. It was all down his face. It was all in his white hair. Alright, back on Raw. What is this, week 4? I believe this is week 4, yeah. I'm back on Raw. Let's see what Flair has to say to me this time. Are you going to put me in another handicap match? Maybe 3-on-1 instead? Because that would suck. I'm not lying. Yeah, well, too bad. You do see my face again. Yeah, we'll see about that. Ah, triple threat match. Well, at least not everything is against me this time. I mean, in storyline, my opponent should be against me, and I mean, it's Steve Austin and The Undertaker, so... Oh, I remember this match. This is a good one. But before we get to that, let's talk to Al Snow. Like I said, at this point, he's more of a trainer, and he's asked me how I'm doing. I probably should have said I'm not doing so well, because I am in a triple threat, you know. I do want Al Snow worrying about me. The guy is a veteran. He is a trainer. He knows what he's doing. Alright, let's get on with this triple threat. This is a good one. This has got a really good ending to it. I'm not going to spoil it. I really want to, but I'm not going to, because I know exactly what I want to say, but I will wait. I will keep my mouth shut, and I will wait. I will wait for the 10 minutes that this part goes to. It's a 20-minute part. As you can see, I'm getting a little longer with them now, but they won't be insanely long like Dead Rising or Fire Emblem. Actually, let's say that right now. Fire Emblem's going to be my longest Let's Play. Until I get to Path of Radiance, that one will probably be longer. And maybe Radiant Dawn will be even longer than that. Assuming I get there anytime soon, who knows. Okay, Steve Austin. Here's a guy we haven't seen enter yet. People always say that they like these entrances and that they're so good. I'll be honest, Austin's is one of the better ones. It doesn't jump quite as much as some of the other ones do, but you know, I know Austin's entrance is complete crap in the current games, but this isn't much better because there is a lot of cutting. And remember, these games are supposed to be WWE simulators. They're not supposed... The reason they're kind of arcadey at this point is that's just because that's the technology they had at the time. They get more realistic as we go. And, you know, in some cases it's for the better, in some cases it's not. There are things that I miss in these older games. I definitely miss these old story modes. These old season modes, I mean. Especially Shut Your Mouth. Shut Your Mouth had the best season mode, bar none, of any WWE game I've ever played. It just all went downhill from there. Well, sort of. It kind of went like this. Shut Your Mouth was good. Here Comes the Pain was okay, but worse. First SmackDown vs. Raw was still worse. And then SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, it's okay. I wouldn't put it on the level of Here Comes the Pain, but it's definitely better than the first SmackDown vs. Raw. 2007 was, I'd say it's about the same as 2006. 2008, it was another downgrade, and from there, I don't really know because I stopped playing the WWE games for a little bit. 2006 was the last one I really got invested into. 2007 I did play, and I do think it is one of the more underrated games in the series. Mostly because 2006 is such a great game. 2007 is a little bit worse, but not so much so that it's awful. It's because it's sandwiched between two games that are famous. Famous in brackets. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 is the best WWE game, bar none. That's what I think. SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, on the other hand, is one of the worst WWE games. Oh, that game was bad. It's the only one that I've actually sold and gotten rid of. I did own SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 at one point. Don't own it anymore. From there, I played 2009 and 2010, but I didn't buy them, so I didn't play them much. So I basically skipped those two entries in the series. I'm not too interested in ever going back to them. But SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 sucked me back in. That game was great. It's probably my favorite WWE game on the last-gen consoles now. On the PS3, we'll say that. Just because it introduced Universe Mode, and I think Universe Mode was at its best in that game. WWE 12, because they changed the naming then from SmackDown vs. Raw to WWE 12. It was an okay game. I just didn't get the same enjoyment out of it that I did SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. 2K13, or WWE 13 and 2K14 are the same way, pretty much. It's just kind of all leveled out. It's nothing. It's really nothing to me these days. I don't think the games are bad, I just don't think they're excellent either. It would help if they weren't so buggy upon release. I will actually say the WWE 13, I do like it a lot, but not because of the Attitude Era roster. I'll be honest, I think the best rosters are the ones where it focuses on a lot of legends. Like, if you get as many big names as you can in the game, that's better for the game. Getting all these small mid-card names, it's not. It just doesn't work as well. Sure, people might have been fans of Ken Shamrock and Val Venus, but, you know, most people would rather see Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior. They would rather see other big names like Randy Savage. They would like to see Bret Hart, even though he was technically in the Attitude Era. But all the big stars you could get, Andre the Giant, Bruno Sammartino, you want all the big names in the game. You know, I hear people say, "Oh, I don't like that because you know you don't have people to fight from their era." Well, guess what? You're in the minority. They are, seriously, they are in the minority. Most people would rather have the big names in the game. They could care less about, like, if you had a complete 1970s roster. As long as you had, like, Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund, they'd be happy. That's all they'd need. Unless you count, like, Andre the Giant as 1970s or Iron Sheik, because they were around at that time, too. That's why I think WWE 2K14 had the superior roster to WWE 13, because it had all those big names in it. Oh, we're getting down to the end of the match here. Finishers are being put out. Austin's getting the last ride. And I tried to take down Taker there, but he was still in the animation. I was going to try and steal the win, but no, I didn't quite get it. But I'm coming up to the best part of the match here really quickly. You know, I swear, he's done that move to me in the exact same space every time. Now, when things get to this point in the match, it gets a little iffy when people slap on a submission move. Because submission moves in this game are, quite frankly, broken. They are incredibly broken. Because as soon as you slap one on, and if you've done enough damage, you basically win. It got better in later games as they added submission moves that have like you have to mash buttons to get in and out of it, or to win, or to get out of it, which is better, I will admit that. But there were still moves that automatically ended in a submission. I remember one time, I was in a 6-man Hell in a Cell match, and it was me and 3 buddies and 2 computer guys. One of the computer guys won because he got into a because he got someone in a Boston Crab, and the Boston Crab in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 does not go into the struggle type move. Get out of here, Taker. Anyway, I believe this is getting right to the end where it gets awesome. Watch this, things are going good, and then Austin, he flips me off and hits me with the stunner. Things are just going awfully. And Taker here, he goes for the pin while Austin's dancing around, and I lose. I lost it, but I couldn't be mad because that was so amazing. Taker stole the win after Austin flipped me off and gave me the stunner. That was one of the greatest endings to a match I've ever had in this game. Oh, it was so much fun. I just can't get mad at losing like that. Anyway, we are moving on to SummerSlam pretty quickly here, but I'm getting my ass kicked by Austin and Undertaker. But guess what? I got help. Booker T from SmackDown is here. Yeah, that's right. Now I got some backup. Me and the Bookman. Wasn't a big fan of Booker T, but you know, as long as he's teaming up with me, I'm completely fine. So, is it going to be a tag team match at the pay-per-view? Well, it's starting to seem that way. Me and Booker against Austin and Taker. Could be a fun match. Guess we'll have to see in the next part.